Hey everyone, welcome to Project Call 13. Almost half a year of project calls so far, so that's exciting. I want to go ahead and jump into some updates on products. This is going to be mostly a product update call. We are, it looks like we're getting closer to getting the beta testing out. We ran into some hiccups this week. We were hoping we could get it out by this time, but we're gonna have that test environment up next week. And then we'll have beta testing allowed for the people who we already have told some people who are going to be beta testing. So if you know who you are, you know. But we're going to allow basically some of the original contributors and a ton of the OGs in our Discord and our original like 100 discretionary people who we thought had helped the most along the ways, like from Pepe's all the way into our token launching and yield farming. These people have kind of been with us the whole way. So they're going to be the first ones to kind of get eyes on the product. And we're going to have them beta test. So we'll have like probably 350 sets of eyes on this. So hopefully we can catch everything before we release this to live product so everyone can use it. Basically, the minting is going to release a little bit sooner than the auctions. We had plans to roll them out together, but like I said, we had ran into some hiccups, and we want to go ahead and get the minting out because it's ready. And if everything goes to plan with testing, we could hopefully get this out as soon as possible. And basically that is just going to be a decentralized NFT minting platform to start. And then it'll be followed up by our auctions platform. The auctions platform got a little bit postponed just because we ran into some kind of almost like project management errors. We're going to learn from our mistakes. We'll get it better. But just, this is the auctions. When you see it, it's a lot of pages, and it's just, we're having to do a few like re-renderings of some flows and just make sure everything is going, accordingly with these audits that we've had and some of these revisions that we need to make. So we've decided to release the minting a little bit earlier, and the auctions will come out, as soon as we can get them out afterwards. But they're, just as far along. It's just we need to fix some of these things, and we don't want the minting to get held up because we know a lot of people are interested in, the minting itself. So if we can get that out, that's kind of our game plan, is to get that out as soon as possible. Testing for the auctions is going to be live also. We're hoping within the next like 2 to 3 weeks, we could maybe get a test environment up, but that is all depending on us getting some of these changes that we need to make fixed. So, I personally don't have a time frame right now for that, but within the next call, we'll have a lot better understanding, or maybe even, we can maybe have something out for the auctions by then. But yeah, this is kind of just, these are absolutely necessary revisions that we need to make. It's just part of the progress of building smart contracts and front end code like this. You have to make revisions. Anyone that's kind of been a part of the process of doing this stuff, it's, you fix one thing, another, problem can pop up. So that's kind of where we're at, but we're working through it, and we're going to get through it pretty quickly, hopefully. So those are our updates for the auctions and minting. The main thing to take away from that is that minting is going to come out a little bit sooner than auctions. That's kind of the main change here. I can let Ryan give a few updates on the marketplace. Ryan, do you want to give some updates there? We're still just, working on smart contracts. We're exploring all sorts of stuff. So I'll let Ryan kind of take over that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Mark, we're working on the smart contracts. It's in progress. We're adding some interesting features, but I'm not going to leak any alpha today on what exactly we're throwing in there. Um, Timeline wise, it is hard to say how long it's going to take for this to get put together because while the smart contracts are almost done and are going to be sent into audit soon, there's a whole ecosystem of stuff that has to be put together. And it could take a little bit, but we're really excited to kind of push it through.
Yeah, and then hopefully like some of these problems that we ran into issues with on this first go around, we can correct these, and hopefully we don't run into these same issues with the marketplace. Really is learning experience for the whole team. This is personally one of the largest projects I've ever built from a Web3 perspective. So like I've had some personal learning curves, that I've had to take on. So really this is a huge effort from everyone, and no one's to blame for this. It's just kind of, we're just kind of, this is just part of development. You run into some issues, you got to change them. So thank you for the update, Ryan. And yeah, we're in progress on the smart contracts for the marketplace. So everything's coming along. We just, with how the development process is going, we're just a little bit unsure on timelines. So one last thing we'd like to talk about, and we have a pretty short call just because really our updates are mostly product updates and we don't want to leak a ton of information. I think we've learned our lesson about leaking information. We don't want anyone stealing our ideas. But honestly, we're trying to give y'all as much information as possible without leaking too much. But the last thing we want to talk about is actually Interdow, which is a partnership that our friends LimeChain have started. And just so everyone knows, LimeChain is a pretty big dev shop. This is not, what's going on with Interdow is not going to take away from what Universe is doing. It actually, if anything, is actually going to help us a lot with the alignment that they have and what they're building, and the tools that they have planned actually are very aligned with what Universe wants to do in the future. So, but this is this is a project that's being done by some of the, lead devs at LimeChain. It's not all the, it's not the people who are working on Universe. So there's not any, there's not going to be any friction there that's slowing us down. But the reason that I'm bringing up Interdow, and I just want to disclose that some of the people on this
Mark,
call
I don't mean to interrupt you, just because I can probably talk to this the most, since I'm like listed as a core team member on Interdow. And this is going to be the exact same for LeagueDAO when it drops as well. Because I was on a call with like one of the largest like VCs in Asia. They're like one of the biggest like DeFi funds, like consider them like the framework or the Parify of Asia. And they were basically asking about like some of these things, because it's got them more interested in like Universe, as like they're starting to look at it as like an ecosystem. So we basically have our like main things that are coming out that are under like the Universe umbrella, and we have like 3 parallel dev teams that work on Universe, and everybody's basically like busting ass. LimeChain originally came on as like advisors to this project, because we had worked together historically on a project called BondBet through Barnbridge, like over a Christmas break at one point, and they were absolutely amazing to work on. So when we realized we were going to need like a lot of dev resources to build something like Universe at scale, not even just the auctions and minting and marketplace, but like everything that we plan to build long term, we knew that we were going to need like a lot of talent. So basically, even though like George, who's been on a lot of these calls, like George and Z run LimeChain, which is like an 80-person dev shop. So their brains are like invaluable from the perspective of like architecture. And they're extremely involved in universe, but like they're really doing it because of like a general passion for the metaverse. And they basically were the ones that wrote the polymorphs contracts. They got the back end up, like they did a lot of like extreme work essentially for free over like a lot of the back end work was done like over essentially a weekend. And when we were working on polymorphs, we were planning on like throwing a party on like a crypto voxels or some area that would have like a lot of like high foot traffic. And we like basically it was going to cost us like $1 million to buy like a lot of land. And that wasn't worth like throwing a party over. And through us like doing a lot of work from the perspective of like the 3D modeling that we're doing with the polymorphs, like I'm not trying to like leak too much alpha, but basically there's just been a lot of like research and kind of off time, like weekend exploratory, like passion projects that have turned into what Interdow is. And so basically as like a little bit of a return the favor for helping us like so much with polymorphs and literally going like so far beyond what we would have ever expected an advisor to do. I helped them raise capital, like introduce them to a lot of my contacts and VCs. And basically the overall concept here was very similar to the way that I view xyzDAO, that we have like, you know, very passionate people that have shown up, like stood up, like committed code and gone above and beyond. And these are things that will integrate like with universe. So like us having a full-on metaverse play is going to absolutely differentiate us in the future from other platforms that really aren't like innovating in that direction, and they're just trying to be like a pure marketplace. But we never had the ambitions of just being a marketplace, even though since we started between February and now, those marketplaces have gone up to billions of dollars in volume, and that carrot has like grown. Even at the onset, we wanted to be a full like universe of like of the metaverse essentially. And so it's going to cost money, and we don't want to distract dev resources. So having like a sister project where their founders and our founders are all building very, very close with each other is not only going to help us, it's going to help Interdow. And same with if people have kind of seen me off like playing around with xyzDAO, same thing. Like you're going to be able to essentially get league tokens utilizing like XYZ, and even the league token is going to be able to get inter tokens and vice versa. So the plan there is similar to why with our yield farming, we gave it to like Alluvium, who's been an awesome partner. And then all of the DeFi projects, the plan there was to like use proof of capital, like fair launch distributions to align ourselves with those communities. So our communities were their communities and we could work with them over the long haul. Well, the way that we've set all of this stuff up, you can assume that the Interdow community, which like massive shout out to LimeChain, like there's I think $20 million right now staked in TVL waiting for inter tokens. And so when xyzDAO launches, a lot of their auctions will all be through marketplace. So you're looking at things that aren't a core focus of ours, that we do have passionate teams show up that we've worked with in the past that are very closely linked to the project. If they essentially are wanting to do their own things, instead of taking our resources away from universe and going off and building those things, which could essentially be a distraction, it's essentially, I almost want to write a blog post about this, but in like Boomer SaaS, you have like vertical vertical expansion, where you have like one like company that will expand vertically and try to get as much land grab as possible. Well, in Web3, because of incentives, a lot of times it's better to do horizontal expansion where we're building very closely with these teams, but they're focused on their own thing. And ultimately, it's better for Universe if we have a very, very close metaverse partner that we're going to support as much as they supported us, and try to go above and beyond in supporting them to return that favor. And same with xyzDAO. Like, it's not going to hurt us to have a fantasy football or a fantasy sports like NFT project that wasn't a focus that we were working on. Now it's something that's very close to the Universe ecosystem that we'll be able to build with them and focus on, but without taking away dev resources from what we're working on. So I wouldn't consider Interdow the same thing as xyzDAO, but I would absolutely consider it something that is going to push. I'm sorry, I wouldn't consider Interdow the same thing as Universe, and same so of xyzDAO, but I assume that both of them are going to be things that absolutely push Universe forward, where those people are kind of piggybacking off the community that we built, and they will return the favor by building very close to us, as opposed to building very close to something that would be deemed as a competitor. So that's, I think, because I'm involved in those a little more closely, it helps for me to give that like insight into what the thought process was there, and why we're doing it. But also massive shout out to the Interdow team for the early success, because it's looking like it's going to be a really, really fun project.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the rundown on that. The main reason we're bringing up Interdow though too, and just to reiterate what Tyler was saying, is we are very aligned with them, and you can go to interdow.xyz and you can actually farm Interdow tokens with your XYZ. So, and like Tyler said, there will be more opportunities to farm with your XYZ, like League. I believe that's going to be the token name is League. And then, you know, we've had past, you know, there was the Luvium Flash Pool a few weeks ago. So definitely some cool opportunities to farm with XYZ this past month and, you know, in the future. So definitely look out for those. And we can drop a link in the Discord. I'm sure it's already been kind of passed around and people have seen it. But yeah, and then, you know, people had noticed the code got forked. I'm pretty sure they just went and forked the, you know, Barn Bridge or the XYZ Universe DAO. So, you know, our community should be very familiar with the front end of like how to stake and do all that stuff. So just go on there, play around, and check it out. And we just want to disclose it. Like some of us are backers, and like we are involved with the team. Not all of us. We don't work for, you know, this project, like Tyler said, but we all do. You know, some of us on this call are, you know, interested in the project. So just want to disclose that.
And so everyone knows our DAO and yield farming contracts are open source. So it, like, people are welcome to fork those. And if you do end up like using our code, or I mean, we can't like consult on how to do this because we're absolutely busy. But if you end up using our code and are that close to us and you're building like a metaverse project, I mean, reach out and communicate with us. Like we want to know about it. We want to know what's getting built in the space, because that's why they're open source. I mean, they came from Barn Bridge. We utilized them at Universe. They're battle tested. The DAO is very, very effective at doing what it does. And the yield farming contracts, I think between Universe and Barn Bridge, it probably had billions of dollars on top of them and haven't been hacked or seen issues. So like we want other people in the ecosystem to use them because we think they're safe.
Yep. All right, so that looks like everything for the call today, but we do have some questions from the community. It looks like Resistance has two pretty good questions. He says, will it be possible to create private sales on Universe? marketplace, and will there be any collection fees on private sales? We are working on private sales. I'm not sure our V1 marketplace is going to support private sales, but I don't want to speak too soon, but I want to say that if you do a private sale through our interface, we probably, I don't know.
Is there somewhere
I'm not
that
sure
does
the answer
private
to
sales? Because
that, to be
it's
honest. I
on
don't
chain,
think
so
we've
you can see
completely
where it goes. Are
decided.
they
You wanna
talking about
maybe
like,
answer that, Tyler? I think you're muted or something. You're not speaking.
no, I'm talking. Can y'all not hear
No, I
me?
can hear you.
You're gone.
Okay.
Mark, can you hear us?
I can hear him. I don't know why Mark can't hear you.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know why.
Yeah, I can't.
I would love to see some examples of what they mean by private sales. This is definitely not a feature that like we're building into V1. But I've thought about this before because a lot of what people are using on like Larva Labs is like you'll see like a transfer essentially, like not to this isn't doxing G Money, but I've seen him like acquire his punks via like transfers, which means he's basically going out to people that he knows, paying them ETH, and then someone transfers it to him. Well, maybe they don't want to like list the price that it was actually sold. You obviously can't show, like, you can't stop from showing the wallet that it went to. So like, to clarify what we mean by like private transfers, if that's like a major, I guess, ask, there's a couple things that we're going to need to think through here as a community. One is going to be money laundering, because we don't like want to be a tool that's utilized for that then puts us under investigation. And that concept, if you're transferring NFTs and you somehow can tornado cash and mask where it's going to, I mean, it could be used for nefarious reasons. And yeah, I mean, maybe that's a whole protocol that someone needs to work on and build. If you're just talking about kind of masking what you sold the thing for, if you're an artist, you may have reasons that you don't want that being published. I think that we could theoretically, if that becomes a super requested feature, be something that we assist the community in building longer term. And the way that I've thought that it could function would be that there's some type of escrow where you basically send your punk into an escrow, someone sends $300,000 into the escrow, and then it transfers like to another address or like the address that you've decided on. That would, but even that like isn't like completely like private, right? Like all that information's on chain. So you're almost
The way you would want to do it is you do it with a zero knowledge.
Yeah, I guess my point is you're talking about making like kind of a tornado cash type
Exactly.
NFT transfer.
That's what it is.
And it's not like, it's easier said than done. And it's also, yeah, I mean, we've thought about it and are thinking about it. If it becomes a massively requested feature by like artists, then I think we'd add it. If it's a massively requested feature by just like degens, I think we need to kind of dig into why they want it, because realistically that could get built away from universe if we get the vibe that it's getting used for the wrong reasons.
I think that's a good answer. I think that is everything for today. We love you all. Hit like, subscribe. Follow us on the next project call in 2 weeks. And do we have any other updates we wanted to say?
I think we're good.
Go Tom Brady. All right, everyone.
All right, later, everyone.